All right, so today's webinar is going to be focused on web design tips for creating a more engaging library website. My name is Donato D'Andrio. I'm the president at Compete Now Website Design and Online Marketing. And we've been building websites for many years, hundreds and hundreds of sites. And over the course of that time, we've been fortunate enough to work with 5 or 6, 7 libraries, somewhere in that area, probably 5 that we finished and 2 more that we're working on. And we've really enjoyed our work together. It's been highly collaborative and interesting. And we created this webinar and slides based on our experiences working with those libraries and some things that we've learned. And partly what keeps the project so interesting is that each library is so different from the next in terms of their focuses and how they want to present themselves, and also the features that they're interested in. So we're a web design company. We build custom websites, and it gives us the opportunity to understand what are the common things that these libraries need and how can we customize the site on a per site basis to make it meet the goals and needs of that individual library and that community. So that's just a little bit of background. We did this webinar about a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2, probably about a year and a half though, closer to. And we have finished a couple more sites and are working on others and had follow-up thoughts and more things to add and screenshots to update. So we're presenting it again. So I think about everybody's coming in. Feel free, there's a little Q&A tool in the bottom of the screen, which you can use to submit your questions. I did get some questions submitted ahead of time by other participants. So I will be covering those questions in addition to the ones that are asked live over the course of this. All right, so without having to make anyone wait any longer, we'll go and get started. The goals of the presentation are really just to share tips and screenshots and things that we've done and learned over the course of building these websites, and they could either guide your projects if you're going out and needing to get a whole new website built and creating the RFQ for that. Or if you have an existing website, hopefully some of these tips will be things that will spark some ideas and interest to then apply to your existing site if it's not quite time to have a full upgrade, or if you did an upgrade recently but you're always well, these websites are really never done. You're always trying to find ways to make them better and improved, and for many reasons. You could consider, does your site need a redesign? That is a good thing to consider as you go into this process. Is it so far gone that it's better to start over? I think as you see these tips and some of the samples that will show in terms of like how those features work, you'll probably know to some extent if it's ready for a redesign. All right, so the first one that is pretty much a standard across all of the library sites that we do, and also across all of the ones that were referred to by our clients, that they all have these 2 super important buttons very prominently in the top right of the screen to link to the catalog and link to the accounts to sign in. So those are 2 very important links, and most sites, even the ones that need redesigns, feel like sometimes we'll have those, but surprisingly, there have been a few instances where that is not there. So that is one of the most basic tips. So I'm glad we got it out of the way in the beginning of this slide. But having the easy access to those 2 links is super important, so that when people are coming back to the website, they can quickly find it. And if they're coming back frequently, it's always right there prominent. They don't even have to think to get to those links. This is a little bit more of one that has come out as we've built more of these sites. Some libraries have a lot of ongoing active content and things that they're promoting. And this was a way right on the homepage of this particular site that we're able to get the events, the book recommendations, and the featured information right prominently at the top. So that was a really kind of a cool strategy that we did on this newer one that we're working on. I'm going to drag it over into the screen share here so that you can see what I mean. When you come to this home page and you scroll down, you can see it highlights the upcoming events that are going on. And these are more so like groups of things. And if you go into featured, that's where it can kind of get into some of those featured resources that you might want to highlight. So that's kind of a cool way to get that prominent information to the top of the home page. Oftentimes when we're looking at you know, statistics on websites and different tools we have to be able to measure this type of thing, we see that about 95% on average, 90, at least we'll say 90+% will at least get to a homepage like this and scroll about that much. So what you have here is almost just as good as what you have in the main top area of the website. And knowing that, that's where you can use that area to get a lot more, information pushed in front of people that maybe they are going to the site and all they want to do is look up one specific thing. We want to make that easy to find. But this is another way to get better awareness to your ongoing programs and different featured things. Basically understanding how amazing of a resource their local library is beyond what they might have imagined or thought to imagine. Another tip that we've incorporated, and this is why I love sharing these different sites, because depending on the community and the taste and preferences and who we're working with, you'll see a good variance of some of these sites are doing some of these things, some of the things aren't. But that's what's fun about the process, is really it's about adapting to each library and their needs. So whereas on the previous website, that big area right below the main banner was kind of focused on that new like content generation, this one was built for easy, quick access as that next thing. And you can see the quick links that we're talking about are along the bottom of the banner here. We have download ebooks and audiobooks, read magazines, reserve museum passes, and reserve a room. So all links that if you use the menu system, you would find, but this just gives you a very quick access, separately from having to go through the navigation menu. Another tip is, it seems like a lot of our clients have these different feeds that they get from their vendors. This one's from Wildberry, but having that on the homepage is definitely, it's nice. It's something that will like automatically update without having to do anything. So it's a way to keep fresh content on the front page. And then it also gives you the ability to have people sign up for new alerts. And then it kind of just shows some of the new books that are coming out from time to time for that library. The resource center is one of the biggest upgrades we typically have to incorporate in a lot of the sites that we work on. And it's typically a part of a lot of the reference sites that are, newer sites that are looking good. And you can see here on this one, we set it up kind of interesting where these are like the online resources, which they're titling 24/7 resources. And this is a dynamic table that updates. So right now it starts off in alphabetical order. And then you can also filter the resources by different search terms by keyword, or filter by topic, which is another good way. I'm going to drag this one over onto my screen so you can see what I mean. Go here, 24/7 resources, and the topics are, children, consumer reports, databases, digital audiobooks. So there's all different things, magazines. So if I filter by magazine, it'll give me all the different magazines that you have access through the library. So that's kind of an interesting way to do that. Another one, and then actually these sidebars are really handy too. So that allows people to either use this all resources to filter or go directly to one of these pages that has a filtered view. Or there are the other resources at the library as well, like books and more, library of things, different things that people can click to get to those resources. So you're really showing the visitors that the library is a very robust resource center for all kinds of information beyond books. Here's another just style that we did. This is on a different library, but you can see they had type, topic, and search by keyword. So I'm going to show you how that works. And then I'll go, oh, this is for later in the presentation. I had this site translated. Okay, books and more, all resources. And then you can see here, you have resource type, whether it's books and audiobook, moving and music, lifelong learning, then topic, all the different topics, and then search by keyword. So if we do this, newspaper, magazine, that'll filter it down that way. And then if I do topic and I do children's resources, that'll show you the different children's resources. So, and you can see that we have this bar on the left side here as well for different tools and things that they can get into. See? And then additional filters as needed. Okay. So that's the tip for the resource center, particularly useful for the digital resources. side of things. Biggest thing we always have to go through, and sometimes it takes 2 sessions, is that's making the sitemap clear and intuitive and easy to navigate, while also pushing some of that um, information that you want to get awareness around better. So this is one of my favorite ones that we've done so far. We had the main navigation items being events and programs, books and more, blog, and about. And you can kind of see these are the drop down menus with each. So it makes it very quick to get into these different pages, and only keeps it to 1, 2, 3, 4 parent navigation items. So highly simplified. And then under resources, services, and use services, you're pretty much getting all these things. It's always awkward trying to separate the digital resources from the services, because they're all really resource. Even a service is a resource to the community. So what we did was we made books and more, and that makes it so that when people hover on books and more, they get a good detailed list of everything the library has offered that they might not have thought to look for. And I'll show you how it played out on the navigation menu. So this was from the Stoneham Library, and you can see when you hover on books and more, you get an expanded 3-column menu layout. Whereas resources, online catalog, movies and music, audiobooks and ebooks, digital magazines. And then here you have services with all the different services provided and youth services. So it's a very quick, easy way to get a lot of information and also get some better awareness on these different programs that are available at the library. It's also important to add your library hours to the header. This is a very common request now, where you can see on the Dover Library in the top, you have open, Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that actually will update day to day with the tool that we use, so that it's automatic. And you can also put in future vacation days, blackout days, so it'll automatically say you're closed on a day that you might not have typically been, if Christmas, whatever day Christmas or one of the holidays falls on, it'll automatically update as closed on that day. And it's a really cool tool. It also works so that you manage the hours for the entire website in one spot. So if you have the hours in the header and the footer on the contact page and maybe one other page, it always stays up to date automatically instead of having updated in multiple spots. Having the ease of access to the contact information is also important for some libraries. Probably could be a standard thing that should just be on most library sites. But you can see on this header, we had the address and phone number in the top of the screen. Very easy to access. I've also learned through a few other libraries that that's important, where there might be other similar town names in the country. And, I think it was one library was saying there's another one in Oregon, and people get the two confused all the time because they have such similar names. So having the address and the contact information at the top can definitely help really show people that, okay, you're in the right place. If you're looking for this library, here's the address and the contact information. Plus, there's just a comfort. People like to be able to find that information easily without having to really dig around or look for it or click to a contact or location page. The images on a lot of these sites are really important. We see a lot of library websites that will have these kind of like almost like paint clip art kind of images, where they're trying to kind of put them together, and then they just never ends up looking that great. So using fresh modern images is a really important thing. If you can have a local photographer come and take some images around the library, and maybe of some inside and outside, and some stage pictures helping with patrons, then that's even better. That can really add a nice personable, inviting element to a library website design. On the homepage, there's usually, you really want to carve out upcoming events. So a lot of the times on the library sites that we'll have almost in that next scroll down or so, we'll have after the main banner, have a feed of all the upcoming events. And that really helps a lot for someone to get to see and realize that the library is an active, inviting place that has these interesting programs going on. So it's really good to have that on the homepage, and just a quick way to get people engaged in visiting the library. The top bars this is one that we actually added. One of the slides, there's been a few already that we added into the presentation, becoming more and more important to have this ability to add in a top bar. Like this one says, this library will be closed on Wednesday, June 19th, an observance of Juneteenth. So that's just a good extra alert on Juneteenth. Just tomorrow, this will say closed automatically, but this bar will make extra sure that people realize, hey, it's Wednesday, it's Juneteenth, and the library is closed. We haven't really talked too much about it, but yet in this presentation, but really everything we do on desktop, which is where a lot of the screenshots are that I shared, it's very important that it translates beautifully to mobile. Most library sites are at least half mobile traffic to the website. So it's very important what the website looks like on a mobile screen. So this is the Dovertown Library that we did. And I'll show you the video little capture kind of showing what it looks like on mobile. There we go. You can see they had a video playing in the background. So we have this very quick search form at the top. I'm gonna pause that for a second. So that means when somebody comes to the library website and maybe they just need to find something quickly, which people on a mobile phone are even more likely to use one of these search forms. We have it right off the bat: discover, try, learn, search by keyword, and then they can choose whether it's the catalog or the website, and then do a quick search. So it's great, especially when people that are patrons like myself to our local library, and we're trying to see, is the latest Dogman book available for the kids? And you can really just right from the homepage search Dogman. It'll trigger that catalog search, and you're off. So it's a very effective way to have a search on a mobile screen like that expanded. So now we'll watch, and you kind of see as you scroll down the screen, it organizes by announcements, upcoming events. So it all breaks down nicely for a phone screen. And then the mobile menu came out beautiful on this one, where you expand the mobile menu. You have the language switcher right at the top. You have the today's hours, and then you have the different subcategories that you can click into. Just showing that what it looks like with a book some more, and then click through, and you're right into the topics. So definitely a very effective way to set up a mobile site, and something that needs to be kept in mind on any modern website, especially a library one with that high percentage of mobile traffic. Library things. I said library things thoughts. So when we did the last webinar, we hadn't really built a site for a library that even had a library of things that they were advertising. Now we've since last like 3. Maybe it's becoming a more common thing in libraries because it seems like they all need some help with that now. And there's different plugins and tools to do that. For the Dover library, we actually built the library of things into the website, almost as like an e-commerce without the e-commerce built, part. So let me walk you through. You can see it has all the library of things showing up on the front page. You can search them by keyword. You can filter it by children or adult, or you could filter by category. I'm going to select board games, and then you'll see how it kind of filters it down, shows all the board games that they have. And you can actually click into one and view that, see the description about that board game in the picture, see other things that are similar to that board game, driven by category. There's a little feed at the bottom. They launch them into more resources if needed. And if they click the check availability, it links to the catalog website that this library uses. And that's where they can see if it is available. Like you can see down here that Board Games Azul is on shelf and available. So pretty quick to get people into the library of things and into their system to browse. So that was a good note about, what we learned a little bit about the library of things. Website translation. This is definitely a very popular request nowadays. We talk in the next slide, we're going to talk more about accessibility as well, but there's also language access that's important to consider. And translation, we typically use Google Translate. Come to learn and understand that it's not perfect, but most people that are speaking these different languages, when they use that translate, they're still happy it's there, and it does get them to be able to use the website enough to get to what they need and get the information that they need. I'm just going to do a demonstration. So this site translates. There's so many languages you can pick and reorder based on priority. This one I'm going to click on Spanish, and you can see that it quickly translates all the text on the website. In the sidebar, the main menu, it just doesn't obviously translate the address of the logo, but everything else is automatically translated to that language, including that top bar announcement. Kind of building on talking about language access now, just accessibility in general. having an ADA compliant website is important for, just legal reasons, but also just, we want to make make the websites accessible to all, so that, just like I'm sure the library itself is accessible for disabled. It's definitely important to have the website do the same. So just wanted to talk about some of the technical aspects that go into an accessible website. Um, Alt text on images is really important. So anytime you add an image to a website, it's important to fill in an alt text field. And what the alt text does is, if somebody can't visually see the screen to be able to know what an image is on the screen, it's text that describes what that image is. So if it's a image of a librarian reading to a group of kids, the alt text would be, you know, youth librarian reading to group of young teens, or I don't know, something like, maybe not young teens, but basically a descriptive version of that image, so that somebody that is listening to somebody is really just, can't see the screen, is trying to understand what's on the page in addition to the text. That's a good way to do it. So that's important for accessibility compliance. Building the website so that it can, work well across all different varieties of browsers and screens and things like that is really important. The colors are really important, ensuring there's enough contrast, so that if somebody is trying to read the screen and you don't want to have like dark text on a dark background. That's really bad for accessibility. So you want to make sure there's enough contrast so that people can actually view the website comfortably. And you want to make sure that the website is built in a way that they could zoom in the screen to 200% and still have the website be usable and not all, messed up where they can't even navigate it. Keyboard accessibility is very important. That's one thing that we do that a lot of people wouldn't know to check for, but it is important for ADA compliance. That means that if somebody can't use a mouse because they're, if you're visually impaired and you can't see the mouse on the screen, they'll actually navigate the website using the keyboard. So it's important to make sure that the website is built in a way that will work well, so that people can get to the different buttons and links and things like that. And that's where a lot of that descriptive text, even on links, the anchor text, is really important, so that as they're tabbing through the tabs, it's telling them what they're about to click on. So if that's all blank, then the website's really not useful for that person visiting the site. So just different things on navigation, building the forms so that all the inputs are clear. And then we also do recommend UserWay as a solution. So on top of all this work, making the site accessible, it is also a good thing to add. I'll show you one on this site. This little widget here on the bottom left. This is actually free, so this could be added to any site. It doesn't replace all that other work or make the site, ADA compliant, but it's a nice extra add-on. It allows for easily making the text on the site bigger. See that? Text space more, change the contrast up depending on how you're viewing the screen. So there's a lot of nice little tools that adds on as like an accessibility tool for a website. All right. If your library website needs a redesign, we'd be happy to provide a quote, or just, talk through some of these tips and see what's feasible for your own site. So good luck. If you have any questions, like to learn more, please give us a call or send me an email. I'll take this time now to just dig into some of the questions that are popping up in the Q&A. Looks like we only have a few, and there was a few that were sent to me. So let's see, which one should we cover first? Okay. So the first question is, what system to build the website on? We build with WordPress. We find that that's a really scalable solution. It allows libraries a lot of flexibility with their features, designs, layouts, things like that. And after we're done building the WordPress sites, we provide a detailed training video on how to manage them when we're done, so that the library staff is self-sufficient with ongoing updates and maintenance and things like that. All right, so that was that first one. What are the points to consider when designing a library website? aside from the tips, it's important to consider the process and the timing of that. So making sure that there are staff available to meet with the website designer, on a weekly basis, usually in the beginning of the site, and then after that, it gets spread out a little bit more. Really having a good partner to kind of work with through the whole process is important to ensure that the site gets built well and built and finished on time. All right, so that was that one. One of the questions that was sent in was, you know, about Assabet calendar. We do have a lot of clients that have been using that, and it's very easy to integrate into the WordPress site. And we found a few ways to make it so we can set up little upcoming event widgets based on tag as well. So that's another fun way to kind of make it so that the calendar aside doesn't always have to be just that main big calendar view that you're looking at. It can be more filtered down by certain event types as needed. All right, so that's good. And then I think the last question is how to, generate more email list signups and things like that. So if your library does have a newsletter sign up, some of the best ways are, people say they don't like them, but they do work, are the pop-ups. So when somebody visits the website, it'll pop up and say, don't miss out on, important news and updates from the library. Please enter your email here. And you'd be surprised how many people fill that in. So I'd recommend that. If you don't want to go the pop-up route, I also like the little bottom right widget pop-up. So it doesn't interrupt the screen at all. It just kind of pops up in the bottom right, almost where a chat window would go. And that's where you can really put some good, good spots. Say sign up for a newsletter, or there's another library site we're working on now where we might actually use that little area to like ask the library a question, and then it'll be just a quick form with like name, email, and question. So that's just another way to get more engagement through some of those little pop-ups and slide-in tools that can, make a lot of difference in getting more feedback from the website. So I hope that this was informative and helpful, and please feel free to schedule a call with me or send an email to discuss your library website, regardless where you're in the process, even if it's just early information gathering. We would love to help and assist as we can, because we do truly appreciate what libraries do for our communities, and we love working with them.